אתה ועודך, אלי אתה ועודך, אלי אתה ועודך, אלוהי רוממך. הודו לאדוני כי טוב, כי לעולם חסדו. הודו לאדוני כי טוב, כי לעולם חסדו. Dear friends, we're sitting at the home of my friend Cantor Chazan Ephraim Sapir in Florida, vacationing and taking in the sun. But into my left is my dear friend Irving Goldstein, who is a member of the Bet Tikva choir and also of Lachan. We are now at the home of Ephraim Sapir, reminiscing about Srul Glick. It so happens that this year is the 10th anniversary of the Yortzeit of Srul Glick, who left us way before time. And so I decided to do a concert in his memory, April 22nd, at Holy Blossom Temple with the Bet Tikva choir, which Herbie is a member, and with Ephraim Sapir, Chazan Ephraim Sapir, who will celebrate with us the Shabbat before the concert as well at Holy Blossom. Participating is also the temple choir and the temple singers and Lachan. It's going to be a very, very beautiful event. Now, I took the opportunity to bring to you a couple of words from two people who were very, very close to Srul Glick, who also was my mentor and my dear friend and teacher. First, because Herbie knows Srul Glick from way back. Tell us a little bit about your connection with Srul Glick from the early days. I mean, as early as you can remember.
As early as I can remember, I knew Srul Glick when I was 8 years old in a camp called Camp Futsal, which was just outside of Toronto, between Toronto and Buffalo. And Srul taught us singing at camp. That was my first encounter with him.
Cantor Sapir, when did you get to know Srul Glick?
I got to know Srul Glick in 1978 when I moved with my family to Toronto. I was the Chazan of Bet David at that time, but the reputation of Srul Glick was already well known in the Cantors Assembly and in town. I even hired Srul and the choir to do a Friday night service with me at Bet David Synagogue.
My recollection with Srul Glick, which I didn't tell you both, was at the convention of the Cantors Assembly, I think in the mid-70s. When did they come the first time?
76.
Here I see and hear a rabbi by the name of Herbie Fader, who was a glorious cantor before he became a rabbi, and coming with the beautiful choir to the convention, and this music is pouring out of the choir's mouths and faces and Srul's body language. I was mesmerized. Since then, since the mid-70s, I was very close to Srul and accompanied him many, many times socially and professionally. We sang together, we conducted his Haggadah suite and other composition. At Temple, Holy Blossom, we sing much of his music, and of course Lachan has a great repertoire. And the concert is going to be purely his choral, cantorial, and orchestral gigantic works. I want to go a little bit to Herbie, to you. Describe as a member of the choir, you speak loud, as a member of the choir, what was the uniqueness of his style, which is so different than any other Jewish synagogue composer?
One of the major uniquenesses of his style at the beginning was he wrote mostly for choral. It was music written for the choir, not so much for the cantor, because Rabbi Fader was also a rabbi, of course, so he was happy for Srul to write some of the choral works so that it would give him a little bit of a break, especially on high holidays. So that was the beginnings of Srul's work. And also it really took us. It was very heartfelt, and the way in which he conducted us was very heartfelt. Everything was done so much from his heart, and I, for one, learned a tremendous amount from him of how to sing with feeling.
A Chaim, you and I go back to the days of the convention where we heard great cantors and great choirs, and you became the Chazan at Betikva in 1984. 1984. As a Chazan, working not as a choir member, but as a Chazan, what was the uniqueness of, what was so special in your relationship with music, of course, with Srul?
I think that if a professional will examine Srul's works and analyze them, he will see very clearly that from '84 until I left Toronto in 2001, there was a shift in Srul's liturgical writing. He took much more care and paid much more attention to the Chazan as a soloist. And we had many, many collaborations on nusach, on proper pronunciation, on enunciation,
And phrasing.
of composition. And it's very apparent in his works post-1984 when I joined this, I would say, glorious combination of a great congregation, a magnificent composer, and a magnificent choir. Now Srul, people were enamored with Srul because he wrote out of the box at that time. He was an avant-garde in terms of the style of writing for the synagogue.
First of all, it was the harmony that he wrote, which was not the conventional cantorial East European music, but in its rhythm. You both will tell me that I'm probably correct, because his rhythm was always syncopated, not always, but very often syncopated and polyphonic, which means that one voice imitated another voice, and it was very, very unique. Now for the synagogue, he wrote basically for the choir, which was good, committed amateurs like we all have in our synagogues, but his real great works are, some works that we will do at a concert, is the Triumph of the Spirit, the Kaddish in memoriam for Bernstein, Leonard Bernstein, and the Sing Unto the Lord, a new song which is absolutely great. At Holy Blossom Temple we did a few times the Haggadah suite, which is for string quartet and choir, and it's absolutely beautiful. But there's another angle to this Shabbat where Cantor Chaim Sapir will be with us, and Friday night there's also a connection between Srul, Glick and Kalibach. So Friday night we'll do a beautiful kind of Kalibach Hasidic kind of passion service, and because Srul Glick was the brother, is the brother of Elaine,
Who was
Kalibach's wife, and there's a direct connection between Srul's music in many cases, such as, very obviously, Hadirhu, which is from the Haggadah. So we all are hoping that you'll join us for this great, great memorial concert, which is actually a celebration of Srul Irving Glick's music, which is also dear to our hearts and very unique in the world of music in general.